And the innermost layer is called the endothelium. With insulin resistance, what's happening is some cells don't like to take up the insulin, and other cells are like, oh, there's all of this energy in the body, and we better help out. We're going to take it up. Those innermost layer of your blood vessels are some of them. So they'll take up excess insulin, meaning they take up excess energy, meaning they grow too thick. So now you have a blood vessel that maybe looks like this, but because that inner wall is thickened, the space in the middle narrows down like this. So now you have less space for that water to flow, or the blood to flow through. So if you think about like a fire hose, right? And that's our normal blood pressure, is this fire hose, that volume of water. But all of a sudden, because that endothelium is thickened, because it's taking up too much energy from the insulin, now it's so thick that you only have the space of a garden hose to push the water volume of a fire hose through. Pressure is going to build, right? That's what's happening inside of your body, number one. Then let's see if I can remember all five without freezing up, okay? Number two, there's the salt and water thing. When you have insulin resistance, you are not able to offload the salt, so your kidneys are not able to express that out, so they're retaining it. And where salt goes, water goes. So now you have a small space, a smaller space, your blood pressure is already increased. Now you're retaining more water in your blood, that pressure is increasing even more. Nice. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people with the carnivore diet. I've also heard some people, wonder what the long-term effects. I don't know what your carnivore is, if you're eating fibers and stuff, or if you're just doing the red meat, like what's his name? You know who I'm talking about, the psychologist. And I know his name, but it's not coming to me. I need some more tea. Okay, so less space, more pressure, right? You're retaining more water. Now you have this thing called the sympathetic nervous system, which gives you the fight or flight mode. It does a lot of things. I'm going to be talking about something called the dawn phenomenon in a little bit, and it'll explain why some people's blood pressure is high in the morning or their sugars are high in the morning. But when your body's under stress, it produces this hormone called cortisol that's doing things like increasing your blood flow, more pressure. It's creating your heart to beat faster because you're supposed to be getting ready for danger, but you're not in danger. Insulin creates this slight effect of fight or flight in your body all the time. So now your blood pressure's up even more. More water, less space, more pressure again. Now, another way that it's doing it is, if you guys have ever seen like medical shows where they give somebody nitrogen for their heart. Well, our body produces this thing called nitric oxide. And what that nitric oxide does is it goes in and it allows our blood vessels to expand so that they can take and push more blood through in those times of stress. Only thing is, with insulin resistance, you're not able to produce that nitric oxide, so the blood vessels are not expanding. Smaller blood vessels, more water, they can't expand, okay? So, and I just did another one. So then the fifth way is cholesterol. So how many of you guys feel like if you cut the yolk out of your eggs, cut all the fat off of your meat, you're going to be doing good for your cholesterol? And don't eat any saturated fats, because that's going to help your cholesterol. How many of you guys follow that? Just put a 1 in the comments if you do follow that. Like, cut the yolks out of your eggs, okay, Bernadette, good. So those are absolutely not what we should be doing. Are you guys, I'm going to talk to you about where the cholesterol that's causing problems is coming from. And then we're going to talk about why those are the wrong things to do. So the cholesterol that's causing your arteries issue is not dietary cholesterol. It's a cholesterol that your body builds, and it builds it out of sugars. So there's one calculation. So you guys get your pen and paper ready, because I'm going to give you a calculation that can help you understand if you're at risk for heart disease, but it's also going to tell you your risk for being insulin resistant. We'll go over that in a second. But when you have high blood sugars consistently, what's happening is your body's converting this low density lipoprotein, but the more important part is most of us don't understand there's two types, type A and type B. Now, type A is this big buoyant molecule. It kind of floats around happily in the bloodstream, doesn't care, it's going wherever. That one's not causing problem, but it's still an LDL. The one that is causing problem is type B LDL, which is very small and very dense. And what happens with it is, if you think about dropping a golf ball or a pool ball into a body of water. So you're standing at the edge of the pool, you drop a pool ball in, and you drop a golf ball in. The pool ball is going to kind of bounce around. It's not going to have any problem. Drop the golf ball in, it's going to drop to the bottom, and it's going to stay there. That's what's happening with the LDL in our system, and that's happening because of the way insulin reacts with your body and how you're converting things. And I'll do a video on all of that later. But so now when you start getting these small, dense molecules of low-density lipoprotein, they're starting to clog up your arteries. That buildup is the cholesterol that's causing less space yet and causing more pressure in your bloodstream. So 5 ways that insulin resistance is causing your high blood pressure. Now, what is insulin resistance? Thank you, Joseph. So, by the way, let's stop before I talk about insulin resistance. You guys, when we talked about the fats, absolutely, Bernadette, you're absolutely correct. Leave the yolks in your eggs. The most protein from your egg is in the yolk. That is not causing you cholesterol problems for your heart, okay? So the fats on your meats, proteins need fats in order for you to metabolize and utilize those building blocks correctly. So you've got to leave some of the fats on. Plus, that's where the flavor comes from. We're going to talk about a few things like flavor and what's happened in our food industry. But so the fats that are in my house, no, keep the yolk in, Abe. Keep the yolk in. There's a lot of people who are still doing the egg white things, like the egg white omelets, the egg white sandwiches, the egg white whatever. So they're eating this egg white that has some good properties to it, but doesn't have a lot of protein in it. And then they're adding a lot of carbohydrates to it, and they're healthier, right? Because they took the yolk out. That's a lie. By the way, we're going to bust some lies. That's a lie. Stop taking the yolks out of your eggs. There's no reason to do this egg white crud. Like, if we were meant to have the yolks taken out, we would have had it taken out. It wouldn't be there. So, yes, leave the yolks in your eggs. Leave the fats on your meat. Stop stripping the skin off your chicken. You need those components to help you with the protein that you're trying to ingest. They're not causing cholesterol problems. It's the sugar that's causing the cholesterol problems. So the fats that I keep are, the 5 fats are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter. I don't have ghee in my house, but ghee is just the butter without the milk fats, right? So, or some of the milk components that are causing problems. And then I just leave the fats on the meats. So my cholesterol levels are all in normal range. 2.5 years ago, they were out of whack. My blood pressure was out of control, and I was afraid I was going to die in my sleep. My blood pressure would get so bad. We're going to talk about that in just a second, Lena. So leave the bones in, leave the yolks in, you guys just stop stripping our food down. This is why we're sick in the first place, is because not only has the food industry stripped our food down, now we're stripping our food down. We're not getting the nutrients we need, but we're getting all the things that are causing the problems. So that was the fats. Now, insulin resistance. Let's talk about what insulin resistance is, because insulin resistance is causing that high cholesterol. So you need to understand that, so you're going to understand what I tell you is going to fix it, because otherwise you're just going to be like, what? She's off her rocker. Okay. So the food that we're eating now, the food that we eat anytime, turns into fuel for our body. Now, that fuel is just called glucose in our bloodstream. We're just going to simplify down. We're not going to go into all the other little things it can be. So whatever, right? So we're eating food. It becomes fuel. There's 3 types of food that we eat in macros. Okay, so protein, fats, and carbohydrates. You're so very welcome, DJ. So protein turns into fuel much quicker as far as glucose than fats do. Fats really don't cause a glucose increase. Proteins do somewhat. The one that creates the highest spike of glucose or blood sugar is your carbohydrates. When I say carbohydrates, most people just think breads and pastas and rice and maybe white potatoes. But you guys, anything that's not a protein or a fat is a carbohydrate. So vegetables and fruits, and we're going to go over that in a second, okay? So those 3 macros are what's giving you your fuel for your body. Every single cell in your body needs fuel in order to function, because there's what I was listening to a neuroscientist, and she said 32 billion trillion processes go on in our body every single second of our life. 32 billion trillion. That takes a lot of energy, right? We need energy. It's not just your fat cells that need energy, or your brain cells that need energy, or your gut. Every cell in your body needs energy to do its job. They're little tiny powerhouses all throughout us. So that's why we should be eating raw foods, overcooked or processed. That's part of it, but I'm going to talk to you about raw foods and organic foods here in just a minute too, because I've had a number of people come to me who do those and they're still having problems. So I'll give you that answer. I don't, yes, low carb diet. Yes. So we're eating these foods that are converting into sugar in our system too quickly, right? And I'm going to tell you that even if you're doing vegan or raw foods, this can be happening to you, because when we talk about, when I talk about modified and processed foods, I'm not just talking about the stuff in the can, the box, the bag. I'm talking about the stuff on the perimeter. You know, y'all perimeter shoppers, you don't find olives on the perimeter. Those are great for you. Okay. You don't find some of the other things like bone broth on the perimeter. That's great for you too. There are some packaged foods that are actually good for you. Sauerkraut's amazing for you. But when you're perimeter shopping, I want you to understand, our peaches used to be the size of this. Hard, crunchy, a little bit bitter, a little bit sweet. That's what our peaches were like 100 years ago. We have modified them so much that a peach is as big as my fist, and it's super juicy and it's soft and it's sweet, and you bite into it. Once in a while you'll get one that's kind of crunchy, but the rest of them it's just this sweet drippy thing, right? That's because that food has been modified. It's been modified. There are very few foods, even when you go to the organic section of your supermarket, are actually what you think you're getting. They are not the foods that grandma, grandpa, great grandma were getting. Grandma. We had our own little farm up in North Idaho. We raised our own goats and chickens and cows and garden. I can't tell you how many times I went to school with my chore coat on because I just didn't get them done in time and the school bus was pulling up. So I went back to our one of our family pieces of property and found an old raspberry bush from when I was a kid, right? And I was taking the kids through and I'm showing them the raspberries. The raspberries were like my grandkids. The raspberries, the biggest ones, the very biggest ones were not bigger than the end of my pinky. That was if I found a huge one. Now think about when you go to the grocery store, even when you're buying raw organic raspberries, what do they look like? They're more like the tip of my thumb, and that's a medium-sized one. So how did it go from this to this in my lifetime? They stripped fibers out. They stripped phytonutrients out. They stripped all of these things out because all we care about is bigger, better, sweeter, juicier. How many times when you go to the grocery store, and I've watched this happen in my lifetime, when you are going to pick out a lemon and you want like the biggest one there. So you're picking through the lemons and these little ones, or you're culling them and you're just grabbing the big ones. You get it home, and it used to be you'd cut it open and the big one was big because it had a whole lot of rind in it, but not a lot more fruit. Well, they kept perfecting that till now. The bigger ones just actually have less fiber, more sugar, and that's what you've been asking for. Bigger, better, sweeter, juicier, right? More delectable food. We want stuff that tastes great. We want to just be indulgent in our lives. But what's happened is the food industry has answered that, and they've given us imperfect food. And if you listen to nutritionists and doctors like Dr. Lee, who wrote Food is Medicine, Dr. Yao, who talks about calories don't count, Dr. Fung, Dr. Bickman, a number of these guys, they'll tell you that our food is unrecognizable to our bodies because of all of this modification. So our body goes, oh, there's these components, but wait, aren't there supposed to be these components with it? Now what do I do? as a result, we're getting sick. Okay, so one of the things, and the simple way without going on any extreme diet, look, if you can do carnivore and that works for you, I'm going to applaud you and say go do that. But not everybody can do that, and not everybody's genetics is built for that. You want to do veganism and that works for you and that's sustainable. Yeah, DJ, I'm so happy that you find it interesting because I've put a lot of time into looking all this stuff up. But if you want to do the veganism and that's what works for you, I'm going to applaud that too. But for the rest of you who have real lives, have kids, families, whatever, and life is just hectic, I'm going to give you a sustainable way that you can do this. So we're going to talk about a few things that we can start to fix the fact that our food is imperfect so our body can start to slow down the processing of it. But first, I skipped over the whole insulin resistant part because I got so excited about the food part. All right, so when we eat this food, it's turning into energy. Let's take a couple steps back. But in the absence of all of these things I just talked about that's been stripped out of our food, it's turning into energy too quickly. So now instead of eating and our blood sugar is going up a little bit and giving us energy and them staying up a little bit and keep continuing to give us energy, we have, instead of this like nice low rise and fall like this, we're having this spike. Okay, our blood sugars go up high because it processes through our body way too quickly. And then our insulin. So what happens is when we have this high level of sugar, I'm skipping so much today. When we have that high level of sugar in the blood, understand that your blood can only handle about 1 teaspoon of sugar in it before it starts to go into crisis mode and cause other problems. So now you've eaten food, it's converted to sugar really quickly, your blood sugars go up really high. The body cues an organ called the pancreas to produce this hormone called insulin. The thing I've been talking about all morning, insulin, is just a hormone. Insulin's job is to take that blood sugar, that energy you just ate, and deliver it to all those cells that need this energy so bad. Okay, so insulin is a couple of things. We're going to talk about it in a couple of ways. So I want you to think about insulin as a multi-personality disorder hormone. Okay, so it's an energy transporter, it's an energy storer, it's a saver, but it can be a bully. Okay, so insulin comes out to deal with this blood sugar that's in our system. And it's going to take all that blood sugar and it's going to start running around to the cells of the body. Now we're going to say that insulin is also a nosy neighbor because it's knocking on all the cell doors. The cells have receptors to allow the insulin to open them up and allow the energy in the cell. But when we have chronically high levels of insulin, that sounds like a great thing, right? That's how our body should work. We have these chronically high levels of insulin because we have these chronically high levels of sugars because we don't have fibers and phytonutrients. Now that chronically high insulin is called hyperinsulinemia. So now instead of insulin rising and falling, insulin has shot up and it stays high in your system for a very long time. Couple of reasons. But when the insulin is high like this for a long time, what's happening is it's taking its tanker trucks and it's trying to run this energy to every cell. Got to deliver this energy, right? Some cells, like those endothelium, are like, I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. But the endothelium are getting too thick because of it, those inner wall of your blood vessels. A couple of other cells that are going to take up too much of it are like your skin cells. So there's keratinocytes, skin cells. They take up too much of it, and now there's too many skin cells in an area. They got to go somewhere, so they pop out, and they're skin tags. So skin tags are happening like on your neck, your eyelids, because you're rubbing your eyes, under your arms, in your groin, all these places. And how many of you guys think that skin tags are just like that happens to grandma and grandpa? Every grandma and grandpa I've seen has skin tags. This is just a part of aging, whatever, the body's slowing down, that's what happens. No, skin tags, DJ, yes. And actually, I'm going to be talking about weight issues next week, and then I'm going to be talking about hormone issues the week after. So I will get to PCOS. Let me write that down. If I can find a pen, let me write down PCOS because we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yes, PCOS is a hormonal problem, and PCOS is an insulin hormone problem. Okay. Yeah, so skin tags are one of the places that insulin is delivering too much energy. Melanin in your skin. So, like, I'm Native American. I have a little darker skin tone than some people, but not as dark as other people. But in the presence of insulin resistance, not only was I getting age spots, but I was having like dark rings around my neck. I was having dark patches on my elbows, on my knees. You guys know those elbows that you look at and they're just dark all the way down. That's what my elbow used to look like, not anymore. It's all clear. So if you guys see those dark patches and the rough patches on your elbows, that's insulin resistance, okay? It's a body's early warning sign, but actually it's been there for a while. Knees, ankles, around your bra line, in your groin, you're getting those dark skin patches, that's insulin resistance. Too much of something going into an area, too much melanin being produced in that area. But the rest of the cells are like, I got the energy I needed from you, and you're really kind of annoying me right now. I don't want to hear from you anymore, insulin. So the insulin receptors start to shut down. It's like the door gets locked and it doesn't want to get unlocked again. So the key, now insulin's also a key, so the key called insulin can't go in and unlock that cell and open it up to get the energy in anymore. So think about your muscle tissues. Think about every other cell in the body, your ligaments, your joints, where you get your immune cells built, where in your brain is getting insulin resistant at the same rate as your body. Your brain, by the way, needs glucose to function. Brain fog, fatigue, anxiety, your brain is insulin resistant because the tissues in there are just like, insulin, you're so freaking annoying. I don't want to hear from you anymore. I'm not opening that door because you were just here 5 minutes ago. Okay, that's insulin resistance. Now those cells are starting to shut down. Even when they need the energy, they're not able to take it up because they're just so annoyed at insulin. All right. Now what happens, the next step that happens is insulin's like, well, but I have all this energy. I have to deliver it somewhere because that person is going to eat again because they're being told to eat every 2 hours. So now they're going to go eat some more. And then I'm going to have more energy to deliver. So I got to get rid of this someplace. So what happens when we have an excess of something? We'll talk about that, Cindy. Remind me in just a few minutes. So when we have an excess of anything, we get a storage unit, right? Or if a business has excess of anything, or they're producing stuff before it gets shipped out, there's storages, right? So do you guys know what the storage unit in our body is? Do you know what that's called? If you do, type it in. The storage unit in our body. You're very welcome, Mary. So the storage unit in our body is our fat cells, right? Our fat is not just there for no purpose. It's storing energy. So now when insulin is not taking that energy to every other cell in the body, it's going to start putting it in your fat cells. The other thing most of us don't know is we have two types of fat. We have the subcutaneous fat, the white jiggly fat. Think of your arms, your legs, your butt, all of those places. And then we have visceral fat. Visceral fat is brown fat. It has mitochondria in it that's supposed to keep the fat warm. Babies have a lot of visceral fat when they're born because they don't move around a lot. They need that fat. That's why babies should be chunky when they're born, because that fat is sustaining them and it's keeping them warm. There's a reason why babies don't shiver, unless they're thin. Okay. That visceral fat, though, starts to cause your belly to poke out because visceral fat is built up underneath the wall of your tummy and in this area. So that's what's making that tummy poke out. So if you have a big tummy, whether you're fat anywhere else or not, it's insulin resistance. It messes with the brain. The brain now, in the presence of insulin, there's a center called the hypothalamus, and it cues you to store more fat in the visceral areas. Okay. Warming fat, it protects, it cushions our organs. Sounds like a good thing, right? Again, everything in our body really is a good thing, even the negative gut microbiome. We're going to talk about that. But now you have all this excess visceral fat. And what's happening inside? Why is your belly starting to pooch out? Because your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, your stomach, your heart, your lungs are all being impacted by this fat. So now this fat that was supposed to warm and support your organs is choking them off. And then insulin causes nerve malfunction. So now not only are they having this excess load of all this fat that's impacting them, now the nerves aren't working properly, so the heart slows down. It's not beating like it should. The stomach just doesn't empty like it should. You're having acid reflux because the food is sitting in there too much and it's pumping back up in. The liver's not doing its job. The gallbladder can't contract and remove the bile, so now you're getting gallstones. Okay, the kidneys can't excrete the stuff that it's supposed to, so you're holding on to water, and your gut can't contract, or your intestines can't contract like they're supposed to. You end up with gastroparesis. Okay, so there's all of these things stem from one simple thing called insulin resistance. So now we know that. Now you're storing excess fat. So if you have fat on your body, understand it's not the fat that causes the insulin resistance. It's the insulin resistance that's causing you to store fat. Interesting thing though, the more fat you have, the more inflammation your body starts to build. The more inflammation you have, the more likely you are to be insulin resistant. So you start that cycle and now it's like boom, 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 boom. You're gaining weight and you're feeling sick. So Cindy, I'm going to pause for a second because this one's really important. It has nothing to do with the heart, and I will come back to the PCOS question in a minute. But Cindy, I have people who had stage 3 kidney failure who did what I'm going to tell you guys in just a few minutes, and their kidney function has returned to normal. People have gotten over their PCOS, their erectile dysfunction, all because they addressed their insulin resistance, and I'm going to give you a simple way to do that, okay? So please understand that unless you are at this stage, the insulin resistance, did I just explain how your kidneys are getting overloaded? They can't excrete sugars. They're getting impacted with fat. They can't excrete salts. And then we're going to talk about proteins too. So I can do a full, and actually, I just looked at I'll be doing full videos on that here soon. I'll try and find one, Cindy. Can you message me after this live, and I'll get some videos for you to show you what's happening. Okay, so back on track with insulin resistance. Actually, absolutely, DJ. So pausing, I have a hard time staying on track, but good morning, Cecilia. Yes, Ollie, so many people are trying to lose weight, pacemakers, all of this stuff. So you guys understand, this is Heart Health Week for me. So 95% of hypertension is caused by insulin resistance, and 80% of heart problems is caused by hypertension. That's a huge link. So if we take 80% of cardiovascular diseases and deaths and take that off the table and say, now, okay, you 80% that's caused by hypertension. Now, 90% of you, that's caused by insulin resistance, and that's really a food issue. That we could save. How many lives could be saved? How many lives could be improved? How many people won't be on a pacemaker? How many people will have quality of life back just from the heart? We're not talking about the kidneys and the liver and all the other things, but just from the heart. So I'm not an expert on T3. I talk about insulin resistance. So now we know that you guys are clear that why hypertension is caused by insulin resistance. We went over 5 ways then, and I'm going to go over that in just a second. I told you why you're getting insulin resistant, right? Food's converting into energy too quickly because we've stripped out nutrients from our food. Yeah, so, and we're going to get there right now. Okay, so you guys, I know there's enough of you guys waiting, so let's just dive in. Do you guys all understand what's causing the insulin resistance? Put a 1 in the chat if you kind of understand why we're having insulin resistance and the importance of addressing insulin resistance now, because I see so many of you guys talking about high A1C, kidneys, PCOS. Okay, so, all right, now, I got to write this down, kidneys. So we know that it's not just too much sugar, and it is carbs. So if you're extremely sick, then yes, you should probably cut your carbs back to about 20 grams of carbs a day. That's tough for a lot of people to do, okay? So I did keto for 10 years. I was a world champion athlete. I worked out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day. So movement and energy and all of that is important, but there's a bigger cue. If we know that the nourishment we're getting in is causing a hormonal imbalance in the beginning because it's just converting too quickly, then we know that that's where we've got to start. So that's where we're going to start. So I'm going to give you 6 tips right now, 6 tips to help your insulin resistance. And then I'm going to show you how I did it, okay? So the 6 tips. Number 1, we said fiber has been stripped out, and many doctors are starting to talk about fiber as a superfood. That's the one thing we need to be addressing, and nobody is. But it's not just one type of fiber. I need you guys to understand that every fiber has a different action in the body. Some are great for making you poop. Some are great for helping your blood sugar slow down. Some are great for helping with fats. Some are great for a number of different helping build your microbiota. But it takes a variety of fibers. So just one type of fiber, you know, the canister kind I'm talking about, that's not going to work. So fiber first, then you want to focus on protein. Most people that I work with, and those of you who are saying you can't lose weight, you're probably not getting in enough protein and getting in way too many carbs. So focus on protein, and we're going to talk about that, what that plate looks like in a second. Fiber first, then proteins, then you want to fill up with healthy fats. For those of you who weren't here, part of this is because protein converts into sugar far less quickly than carbohydrates do. Carbohydrates are not just bread and sugar and rice and cakes. It's every fruit and vegetable that's not a protein and it's not a fat. Okay? So fiber first, high fiber foods, right? Protein next, and then fill up with fats. Fats don't spike your insulin. Proteins spike your insulin about half as much as carbohydrates do. Proteins are the most satiating of the food group. Fats are the next most satiating, okay? So fiber, protein, and then fats, and that's how you should eat them on your plate. Then you're going to save your carbohydrates for last. You eat those carbohydrates if you have room at the end, if you're still hungry or you just want to treat yourself. Look, life is for living. But that saying can go both ways. Life is for living. If you're eating the wrong foods all the time, you're killing yourself. But if you're so strict that your life is just, you're not finding joy in your life, so I want to find balance. I want the middle road for most people because that's what's going to work for the majority of people, right? All the other suggestions, I get it, they work, but they don't work for everyone because of everyone's lifestyle and capabilities. All right, so fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs. The other 2 suggestions are these. You're going to do some intermittent fasting. I know that sounds scary as heck. Okay. Yeah. There's no joy in living like that. You guys, my life is so very happy now. We'll talk about that in a minute, but intermittent fasting. I'm not talking about crazy fasting schedules. I've done some because I like learning and seeing how I can heal my body. But I'm not telling you you have to do any of the crazy fasting I did. For the first 2 years when I lost 50 pounds, reversed my hypertension, reversed my hyperlipidemia, got my thyroid functioning better, all of that, all I did was a 16-8 fast. We should not be eating every 2 hours. You understand now, every time you eat, you're spiking your insulin. When you have that chronically high insulin, you're having problems. So it doesn't make sense to eat every 2 hours. And I'll go further into that in a minute. But the last thing is to move your body. You guys, 25 to 30% of your body is built up of muscle tissue. So it's also one of the most insulin sensitive tissues because it's moving and it's using energy. So the more you can move your body, the more insulin sensitive you will become. I'm not talking about going and doing the kind of workouts I used to do. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about get off your butt, go take a walk. I don't care if you are not in a place where you can go take a walk safely, turn on the music and dance, or set a timer and see how quickly and how thoroughly you can clean your house. That's movement. You guys, does not have to be difficult. Move your body. Okay. I do sword fights with my grandson. We run for a half an hour to an hour and have little sword fights with his Nerf swords. That's one of the things. Ollie, let me talk about that in just a minute. If you reduce your sugar, you're going to reduce the cholesterol. If you're eating too much protein, that's what's going to hurt the kidneys, and I'll address that in a minute. Okay, so we got that, right? The 6 simple tips. By the way, in my profile, you guys, there is an ebook for the 6 simple tips. I know I've gotten some messages from people that say they aren't getting it. Look, you're going to put your email in. I'm going to send you an email. That's going to give you a download link. So you have to click the download link and you'll have access to the book, but I got to know where to send the link. And then there's no charge, there's no anything. That's just my gift to you guys to help you out. All right. So the fiber. Now that's a really great question. So for me, guys, I am not a huge vegetable and fruit eater. I know I should be. I know. But it's just I'm more carnivorous, but I'm not like that much that I could just be like Jordan Peterson. That's who I was thinking of. Okay. So what I do is I'm doing a protocol that reversed everything for me, including my sleep apnea and things we haven't talked about yet. I do that intermittent fasting. Now, before I started the protocol, I was like, there is no way I can intermittent fast. I am so addicted to sugar and food that I just cannot intermittent fast. I'm cranky, I'm hangry, and we'll address that in a little bit, but I can't do it. Like I tried, and I would do good for a while, and then it would just not work. But what I'm doing now is I have this protocol, which is 2 food products that I use at 3 points during the day. It's not a bunch of vitamins and stuff you have to mix up and protocols you have to do other than this. I drink this tea in the morning, which is what you guys have been seeing me drink all morning. I can have it hot or cold. The tea is amazing. It's a natural tea from Argentina called yerba mate, but it's highly concentrated. So instead of having to steep the tea, I just mix the packet in water. I just throw it in a bottle or in a mug like that, mix it up, and I drink that all morning. Now, it has components in it that are nourishing my brain and helping my brain become insulin sensitive. So I have mental clarity, I have focus, I have all the things that an ADD person is normally lacking, right? You've seen my ADD, but it will help with anxiety, depression, and all of those. So it's giving me mental clarity. It's giving me this feeling of wellness. There's components in there for that. There's antioxidant components in it, which are huge for insulin resistance as well as the brain. It has anti-cancer properties in it. But more than that, how is it helping the insulin? Other than all of that, it's helping me because it shuts down my hunger. How is it shutting down my hunger? It's just a tea. Well, because it's allowing me in this fasted state to utilize fat for fuel. So when my body's not saying I need fuel, I'm not feeling hungry. When my body has fat that it can use for fuel, it's not going to eat up my muscle. You guys, that's a big lie. It's going to use up the fat you have, and now your body is running on your own fat for fuel, and it's a whole different feeling. You have this energy, but it's not this crazy like Red Bull energy. All right. Tea in the morning. Now, I had my dinner about 6 p.m. last night, and I'll go over what I eat too, because it's really simple, you guys. So about 6 p.m. So at 6 a.m., I was already 12 hours fasting. 12 hours, done. Okay. It's almost 9 o'clock here now, so I'm at 15 hours. So I put the link for my landing page in the chat up above, Facebook, YouTube. You guys, it's in there. I can put it in again. So if you go there, the free ebook is there. Now, so I have that tea in the morning, and then the fiber part, because I know that I'm traveling and I'm doing stuff, I'm busy like y'all, right? I've had jobs where you think I could carry a salad around with me all the time. No, I like salads, but not all the time. So fiber I get in this. It's 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers that are scientifically put together and designed, 20 years of study, so that it would help with your A1C and your blood sugars. Okay. So if you guys on TikTok want to go to, let's take a look, and I'm going to switch over here on YouTube and Facebook as well. All right, guys, I'm going to flip this around. If you want to go to my profile, tap on the picture up above. It's going to bring up a box below. You're going to get to my profile. There's these red lights here. Click on the link underneath, and that's going to take you to my landing page, the top one right here is where you order the system. The free ebook is right here. I do have a full website that helps you understand all of this stuff, science videos, success stories, all of that stuff on my website. Okay. So, but when you click that, you're just going to see this page next, if it will come up. You should see my name at the top, Michelle Fayant, because I am an authorized distributor for this. I fell in love with it. It changed my life so much that I'm like, I want to do this every day. So you just click on the buy now, and that's going to take you to the products. You're going to get 30 of the tea and 60 of the balance. And that's right where you get it. So guys, I have a couple of disclaimers for you. If I can get back to where I'm supposed to be. All right. Now, you guys, look, how many of y'all are Amazon shoppers? Because I am. And I have to learn to not do that so much. But if you go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart, those are not authorized distributors. We found pirated products. We found where they've taken these packets and they've reduced it by half and then put filler in it. So we can't give you the 90-day money-back guarantee that you get when you purchase through me. By the way, if you have your blood work done before this, and then before you start the protocol, and then 90 days in, you go in and your A1C, your blood sugars and your lipids have not gone down, you get your money back. Okay. It's also a guarantee on your satisfaction now. But understand that it's a natural food system that is not medications. So you've got to give your body time to heal. Me, it took 40 years to get my body sick. You got to give it time to heal. Over the first 2 years of my healing journey, it felt like every month I was recognizing something else that was getting better. That's where you're going to get it. And then when you do that, I send you out emails. I send you out texts. I'm in contact with you. You have my number because you need to be coached. Some people are great. They like, I got this. I can do this. But what happens if you have questions and you're just not sure? You want to reach out to somebody. The seller on Amazon and eBay is not going to answer you. I will. Okay. So save yourself the time and trouble. Now, that's all it is. You guys, like, I'm in Maryland right now. Where are you guys all at? By the way, where are you all at? Next week, I'll be coming to you from a whole other side of this continent. So right now I'm in Maryland, right next to the ocean. Well, not right next to the ocean, pretty close. But next week, Florida, Indiana, hike highs. Hey, Steph. Okay, so in 2 days, I'm going to get on a plane and I'm going to fly all day long and I'm going to go to the West Coast and I'm going to go to Washington. Hey, from Tata, Detroit. Um, so when I'm on the plane and I'm going through the airport, do I want to take a bunch of powders and stuff that there's going to get me stopped at airport security? Because look, I did that when I was powerlifting. What a pain in the butt. Now my day looks like this. I grab some of these packets. This is 1 day worth for me. It goes in the side pocket of my purse. Has never stopped me in the airport security. Has never caused me a problem. I carry a stainless steel bottle, because I fill up water. I just put the water in there. I put this in there, shake it up, drink it down, and I'm good. So I'm not looking for stuff to steep or, all of these people who talk about, thankfully nobody said it this morning, but all those other protocols they talk about, and you got to worry about bringing all that stuff and the timing of it. No. A tea in the morning, a drink 10 minutes before I eat. That's it. It's simple. It's sustainable. It reversed my hypertension, my diabetes, my hyperlipidemia. It's just completely changed my life and helped me lose over 50 pounds. Hey, Ollie. We are working on building a team in Australia. So use that link and reach out to me because I would love to have a talk with this about you. With you about this. How did I get all of that wrong? Oh my gosh. All right. So that's that. Now, I know there was a couple of questions we want to get back to. Protein in kidneys and PCOS. Let's deal with the PCOS first because that was the first question that came through. You know what, Steph, I'm calling you out. I love you. Steffi is ADHD. I'm ADD. We are quite the pair together, you guys. It's a thing, but we're besties, have been for a long time. And if you don't know Steph, go follow her. You guys on Facebook, YouTube can't see her. So the best suggestion that I can give for cholesterol is Get your insulin under control. That's going to be the number one thing. Sugar is causing the cholesterol problem, not the fats, unless we're talking about things like, first of all, Noreen, while I'm talking about PCOS, why don't you tell me what oils you cook with and what you're currently doing for your cholesterol, and then we can kind of go over what might help you as far as what I talk about. All right, PCOS. PCOS and erectile dysfunction are both hormonal issues, and they're both related to insulin resistance. So we're going to talk about PCOS because that's the one that was asked about. When you have insulin resistance, it messes with, very simply, it messes with the cues that your ovaries give out. So when you have hormones, sex hormones in your system, so estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone, they all start out as androgens, testosterone like substance. They get converted into the estrogens, the female type hormones. But with insulin resistance, it's blocking cues with the ovaries and other hormones that have to happen in ovulation, and it's messing up that whole cycle. So eggs are getting deposited, and at a certain time of maturity, they should stop growing, and the ovaries should cue to the brain to start putting out more estrogen and luteinizing hormone, and then the eggs that are not viable kind of like get disintegrated, dissipated, and they go away, and they get reabsorbed as very small molecules in the body. The one egg that the body has said, this is the one, it gets sent out for fertilization, right? But what happens when all of that's not happening properly? The body says, oh, here's an egg, but now it can't communicate with the brain to have all these other processes happen. Your estrogen levels aren't going up because the testosterone levels are not converting into estrogen. Your luteinizing hormone is not happening properly. So now all those other eggs that the body's not going to use start falling into the ovaries, and they get absorbed into the tissue in the ovaries. So poly, many, because your body puts out several eggs at one time, like hundreds of eggs at one time, and then they're falling into the ovarian tissue, and they get absorbed in there, and it's causing these little cysts in the ovaries. So polycystic inside the ovary, ovarian syndrome, all because your body couldn't convert testosterone into estrogen because of insulin interfering. Okay, so about a life cycle ago, there was only like 100 PCOS, and I need to get the number, PCOS cases in the world. And now let me look up the number. And now it's so much higher. Okay. It's in the thousands now. Okay. So how do we go from 100 worldwide to thousands worldwide? Well, it wasn't genetics. Genetics don't change that drastically. So Steph is saying 1 in 4 women. I was looking for the number of how many cases were formed. I see some studies, but I don't see the one that talks about okay, but regardless, what you need to know is that our incidence of PCOS has increased tenfold, if not 100-fold, in one generation. There's something else going on. It's not just genetics, okay? So if we understand what I just explained about the ovaries and how insulin is interfering with testosterone, now when you can't convert testosterone, not only are you having these irregular periods because your body's just not getting all the clues. So you have long periods, you have short periods. The long ones are very painful because you have these cysts in your ovaries, you have this toxic buildup, and you can't get rid of it, and it's very, very painful. And if you have PCOS, you've been likely told that you're probably not going to have kids, or if you have them, it's going to be very difficult for you to conceive. Okay, all you have to do for most people is reverse the insulin, and that's going to help you start to normalize your hormones. There's a couple of other things. So the testosterone is not converting. Now you're having facial hair, but you're having male pattern baldness. You're having excess weight being put on. You're having aggressive issues. You're having depression issues, and you can't get rid of the weight. That's all part of PCOS, and that's all driven by the insulin first. endometriosis. It is, but I don't have a clear answer as to why. I've looked it up before, so let me, Steph, if you know why, would you say? Otherwise, I will look up, because I don't want to give you a wrong answer or a half-assed answer just because I'm trying to answer. So I would rather go make sure that I am understanding the process of it. I know that it's linked, but I can't tell you the process right now. So let me find that process, and then I will come back and talk about that in the next day or two. All right, so that's PCOS. That was one of the questions. So just get the insulin under control. Now, with PCOS, I have a number of ladies who have, like one gal, the one that sticks out to me the most, she had irregular periods. She was devastated because she wanted to have a family and she wasn't able to conceive, and the doctors were just telling her, no. This is also very personal to me because this was me. Okay. I didn't know about it. And unfortunately, by the time we found this protocol, I was past childbearing age. So I call both my children immaculate conception because I was told I would never have them. All right. So she was having irregular periods. She was having all this pain. She was told she wasn't going to have kids. She started the system month 1. Her periods normalized. Month 2, her periods were still normalized. Month 3, no period. She's devastated because she's like, I thought the system was working so well and now I'm not having a period. What happened? Well, what happened was over a year later, she now has a baby. She got pregnant when she was told she was never going to be able to have children. And she now has a healthy 1-year-old child. And it all happened because she just simply reversed her insulin resistance. That's one story. There are many, many stories just like that. We have a guy who's a paramedic, and his daughter wanted to have children and thought she couldn't, and she started utilizing his system when he wasn't paying attention. And several months later, she's pregnant. He's going to be a granddad, right? She's also had her baby now. So it does work, you guys. It has happened. There's many people who have had that happen. Now, kidneys. So with the kidneys and protein and fats, so if you can reduce the sugar in the system and reduce the level of insulin, your kidneys are going to start to filter much better. When I talk about protein and you're talking about kidneys, so if you're having kidney failure, you have to be very careful with your protein intake. I get it. So you should be working with your doctor. For the rest of us, let's talk about what happens when we don't get enough protein or when we get too much protein, because I've had people go both ways, right? So if you're not getting in about 60 to 80 grams of protein for the average person, you're just not getting in enough. If you're not getting in enough protein, you're losing muscle, and it's going to be harder for you to lose fat. Insulin resistance also causes you to start losing muscle and gain fat. So now the only way to really reverse that is to start controlling your sugar and focusing on your protein. So remember my 6 simple steps. The first 2 were fiber first to control those sugars, and then fill up with proteins. Okay, so I am not talking about crazy protein. On one of my videos, a gal was like, well, your body can take 150 grams of protein and deal with it just fine. Well, let's take a look at that. Nutritionist classes would tell you that like 30 to 40 grams in a sitting is about what your body can metabolize for the average person. Now, if you're a bodybuilder, somebody who's extremely active, you might need more protein than that. But for the average person is what we're talking about. 30 to 40 grams in a sitting is about what you can take in, okay? So what happens to the rest of the protein? Well, the first thing that happens is when it can't be converted into building blocks for your muscles, part of it is getting converted into sugars. We talked about that, right? But then what happens when there's the rest of this? Well, some of it's getting turned into a product called urea that then, yes, puts an extra load on your kidneys to excrete it. So if you're thinking about, I'm eating 100 grams of protein in a sitting and I have kidney problems, yeah, probably not a good idea because you're not utilizing all that protein anyway. Would you guys put gas in your car and just fill it up till the gas is spilling all over the ground and then complain about the amount you spent on gas that you couldn't use? Carbs are an essential nutrient. Your body can derive carbs from protein though, okay? So, or carbs, glucose. Glucose is the essential nutrient. Let's be clear with that. All right. So when you have that protein that's in the high amount, it's going to go to building blocks, right? What it can't use is building blocks. It's going to start to turn into inflammatory markers, or it's going to create urea out of it and force your kidneys to excrete it. And when there's excess of that, it's going to turn it into glucose and store it as fat. So, yeah. So excess proteins, like a lot of excess proteins, like 150 grams in a sitting, that's probably going to cause a load on your kidneys and cause you to retain fat. So how are people eating high amounts of protein and still gaining fat? That's how the body converts it into glucose. So again, 3 macros. Protein turns into glucose the least. Fats don't really turn into glucose or spike your insulin. Carbohydrates do it the most. So that's why I say protein, fats, and then carbohydrates last. Okay. So I hope that answers that one. So in the absence of kidney problems, you guys, you should be getting in at least 30 to 40 grams of protein a sitting, and then get your activity level up. Now, while I'm talking about that, proteins, insulin resistance causes you to lose muscle and gain fat. Trying to diet in these restrictive calories in, calories out, eat less, exercise more, can cause more muscle loss while you're trying to get to the fat loss, especially the extremely high, highly restrictive, like 1,200, 500 calories a day. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. So what you really need to do is get the insulin level down, and then your body can start to normalize the muscle. So a lot of people on the system will be like I was, like, I'm not losing weight. It's a month in and I'm not losing weight, and I'm really kind of pissed off about it. All full stop. I was like, what the hell? Like, yes, I have more energy. Yes, my body's not in pain. Yes, I have more mental clarity, but I'm not losing weight. Your brain has to have glucose to function. So I would call that pretty essential. Your brain functions on glucose. So check that out, honey. Okay. So I was not losing weight, but what was happening is I was losing inches. So I went and grabbed some clothes. My story is this: I had a pair of shorts. I never wear denim. Autistic. I hate the feel of denim. Can't do it. So I had these denim shorts because I was going to try and be the cool girl for summer. I'm like, I'm going to finally lose weight. I'm going to do this. I bought them way too tight. And a month in, I hadn't lost any weight, but I went and got the shorts, and they were now fitting in the waist. The legs were already too loose. And then a few weeks later, I started dropping weight, and the shorts were too big. Okay. So, yes, but your body will create glucose out of the food you eat. So food is essential, and your body's creating glucose from the food you eat. Yes, it's essential. Well, sorry, you know what? This conversation is already deteriorating, right? Um, so when you're starting to lose weight in a healthy way, you're losing fat and not muscle, and you're putting muscle on. So then things look different. Weight loss is not on the scale. It's about the fat you're losing at that point. Okay. So that's the answer for that. Now we were talking about, I got to look up endometriosis. Does anybody else have questions about what insulin can do to your body? Let's try and talk about it this morning. It's almost time for me to hop off because I have a full day of calls to make, but I'm more than happy to answer questions. One more time though, if you're interested in the system I'm doing, how I overcame insulin resistance and diabetes and hypertension, hyperlipidemia, sleep apnea, all of these things was just one simple system that is a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink that I have before I eat anything. And you can get that by going to my bio and just clicking on that. It'll bring up a whole other page, and the links for it are all there. Also, the website, or my website, is linked in there, and the free ebook is linked in there. So you guys, I hope it was helpful. I'm not answering. I'm locked over here. Yeah. Oh, so sorry, you guys. Connie, you should be able to just go to my page at Vibrant Living. Let's just pull it up. Let's just pull it up, you guys. Sorry, I left a page up and I couldn't see the chat over here, and I had some things happening and I just forgot. So if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, that's where you're gonna go. Is this, whoops, talking to these guys over here right now. Facebook. Let's get you there. All right. For you guys who want to follow on some of the other platforms as well, I have a Facebook channel called Vibrant Living, all with Misha. I also have a support group on Facebook called Beating Insulin Resistance, and I post stuff in there, and it's just kind of a more calm place for people to come in and get some questions answered. It is a group that you have to apply for. So Beating Insulin Resistance is my Facebook group. My YouTube channel, boy, I did not set things up this morning. You guys can see Vibrant Living with Misha on there as well. Also have Twitter, Misha Fayant there as well. So you guys can find me on all of those places. I also have a Pinterest channel, and I'm working on being able to go live over there also. So you guys, you can find me just about anywhere where there's channels up, and find the information and just have conversation with me. But my contact information is also in the landing page that comes up when you go to my profile, and you can text me questions. It's not a pill. So you guys, I will be doing a video today, and full stop, it's from Rav Malik, but he was talking to a pharmacist, and the pharmacist was talking about the effects of what these Mounjaro, Ozempic, all of those things are doing. And I think it's important because I talk about it here a lot, how damaging those are. So watch for that video coming up. This is not a pill. It's not a medication. However, it is found in the PDR. I'm looking it up in the PDR right now. So these products are found in the PDR. Your physician can look it up in there. And so they can also prescribe this, although it's not a medication. So full prescribing information. Okay, come on. I hate how they've changed the PDR. I don't like the new format of it, you guys. I just don't. So here it is in the PDR. You'll see the PDR right there. Prescriber's digital reference. Absolutely, your doctor can prescribe it. Some insurances are covering it. So if you're wanting to use it and your doctor will prescribe it, you have a shot at getting it covered. What I do want to show you is it does have studies with the American Diabetes Association and the American Heart Association that talk about it doing everything that I've talked about this morning as far as your A1C, blood glucose, and lipids, which are at the root of everything else. Okay? So it's not a pill. It's real food that's packaged in powder form, so you can just mix it in water and drink it up, and that's it. A tea in the morning that helps me with energy, shuts down my hunger, and then allows me to start burning fat for fuel and gives me mental energy and clarity. And then a pre-meal drink that shuts down the sugars. It's been proven to slow down the absorption of sugars, and that then helps lower my insulin level and helps me become more insulin sensitive. And that's all I did outside of the 16/8 fast to reverse my diabetes and all of the things that I had going on. Okay, so no pills, no crazy prescription like you've got to take berberine here and black seed oil here, and you've got to do wild caught blueberries and kale and ginger and all this other stuff. Because by the time you do all that, you're spending more than you would on this anyway. And it's just real food products in 3 packages. That's my day. 10 minutes before my meals and first thing in the morning. That's it. It's so easy. Okay, guys, I'm going to hop off and get to work. And we'll see you guys back at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I will be on a plane Thursday at this time, so I won't be able to be live Thursday morning, but I'll try to make it up to you guys later in the day if I can get to a place where I can do a video or on a layover, something, okay? Jax, you guys, all of you, very welcome. Let me check over here. In Nigeria, we are not available in Nigeria yet, so the only thing I can tell you is if you know someone out of country in one of the countries we're available in, then you can get them to get it and then ship it to you. But we cannot, as a company, ship it to you in Nigeria right now. That's your country. We're working on a number of countries worldwide. We're open in South Africa now. Cecilia, I don't understand. Yeah, you had to start taking cholesterol medication again. Um, and here's the other thing. When I was talking about the PDR, you guys, this, unlike almost everything else in the PDR, there are no medication interactions with this. It's gluten-free, it's halal. You can continue on your other products, and while you're getting this under control, and work with your doctor to come off of those. Ollie, we absolutely ship to Australia, and I'm actually, like I said earlier, working on building a team there, because Australia, like the US was a couple of years ago, Australia needs this as much as we do, and yet there's not very many people there distributing it. So try the product. If you like it, let's have the conversation. But absolutely, you guys, when you click on the link in my profile, when we go to this page here, when you get to my landing page, the link here will open up for your country. It's IP address related. So wherever you are in the world, it's going to take you to the website that's appropriate for you. And then Ollie, add me to WhatsApp. If you don't have WhatsApp, download it. We can actually have phone conversations. I've been on the phone with several people from Australia this week already. And I will help you regardless, like whatever we need to do. You said you were doing things all wrong. Let's talk. Yeah. And I need people who are on fire to save lives to help get this out there, because we're getting people off of medications. We're getting them to a healthier life. So many people's lives have changed, and I'm all about getting people off of those damaging medications so that they can live a life of just like what I can't stop talking today. It's about $5 a day, Cindy. So let's talk about that. I'm not sure in Australia it's how much it is. You'll have to use the link because it won't open up Australia for me because I'm in the US. We are in over 34 countries worldwide. It's super easy to get. Ollie, message me because I want to get this. I want you guys. Part of why I'm so on fire, what a lot of you guys don't see, if you haven't followed me, what I want you to understand is that, and I just got goosebumps. Somebody here, there was just a connection made. But 2.5 years ago, and Stephanie, if she's still here, knows this, I had a walker, I had a cane, I had disability plates on my car, I couldn't go up and down stairs, I was in pain. I had gone from world champion athlete to broken down in the stretch of just a couple of years as diabetes took hold of my body. I would wake up in the night with my blood pressure ranging up to like 220, 240 over about 160. I thought I was going to die. I laid in bed and cried because I didn't want to burden my children with it. I didn't want to tell them that I was that sick. I didn't want them to worry because they would. I didn't know what to do. And so I was just like devastated. And here I go from somebody who's always been very physically active and on fire and trying to do life. And I thought I was going to die in my 60s. I literally thought I would die. And I had tried everything. I did the medical medium. I did veganism. I did keto. I did all the things. And they all worked a little bit, but they required so much that I just couldn't. Look at, I'm autistic and I'm ADD. Like, super hard for me to do a lot of those things, but I'm very determined, so I do. Long story short, I found this protocol. I'm like, what the hell? I've tried everything else. I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work, I've got a 90-day money-back guarantee. And lo and behold, it changed my life. So knowing where I was, how frustrated I was, how terrified I was, I know that I'm not alone, that there are so many more people who feel just like me, right? I talk to people every day who feel just like this. I broke down in tears in the doctor's office because I'm going to, like, how many of you guys, I love doctors. I worked for some great doctors. I worked for some not so great doctors. But look, you go to the doctor because you're falling apart. You're in pain. Your brain's not working the way it wanted to. You're putting on weight that you can't take off. Your blood pressure's out of control. Your lipids are out of control. Your liver's failing. All of this stuff is going on. And you're like, doctor, help me. What's going on? And what do they say? Lose weight, you'll feel better. But doc, I've been trying to lose weight. I've done all the stuff and I can't lose weight. What's happening? So because I worked for doctors and I got the answers, again, I worked for a doctor. We did all the tests. We did blood tests. We did saliva tests. We did 24-hour urine tests. We did all the things. In the end, she called me into her office and said, you have the worst metabolic type I've ever could have happened to have in my clinic, and there's really nothing I can do for you. I'm really sorry. You're always going to be overweight. You're always going to be in pain. You're always going to have this brain fog, and this is just what your life is going to look like. I wish I could give you a better answer. Like, she wasn't flippant about it. She was devastated just like I was. Oh, because of your arthritis. I used to be on meloxicam. Cecilia, not only was I on 10 different medications, some of them for my hyperlipidemia, some of them for my thyroid, some of them for my hypertension. I was on at least 10 different medications as they're like trying to cycle through and really save my life through pills, right? Does pills really save your life unless you're septic or have infection? I don't know. But meloxicam, hydrocodone, and Norco. And then I would cycle those with high doses of over-the-counter Tylenol or Advil or whatever I could get in because I was in so much pain. And my arthritis, Cecilia, was so bad. I've had 3 joint replacements because of this thing I now know because of insulin resistance. Now, with all of that, my right knee, so I've had one knee and both hips replaced. My right knee was supposed to be replaced in 2022, and it no longer has to be replaced. It's not popping, it's not clicking. The meniscal space that was almost gone on one side and half gone on the other side now normalized. I don't have insulin resistance anymore. My body's able to regenerate, and my knee doesn't slip. It doesn't hurt. I'm not taking Norco Hydro Meloxicam just to sleep at night. I don't have any of those medications. I don't have one prescription that I'm taking now, and all of my labs are normal. My blood pressure is at 112/74 every single morning. My life is a whole different story than it was 2 years ago for just adding 2 real food products and following this protocol. And it was easy. Steph and I have been together on occasions, and we've been to pizza places, and we've been to Mexican places, and we've been to fine dining places, and she used to eat Culver's fish fry every Friday. You guys, not that I advocate for that, but it's like you don't have to. My grandson loves Chick-fil-A, and I try to mediate that, and Panda. So every once in a while, I have that stuff with him too. It's not like I'm on some super strict, crazy diet that isn't sustainable or livable. You guys, your life doesn't have to be like that. Jax, yeah. So, but Jax, make sure that you're getting in the right kinds of fiber. So another story, I have a gal who started the protocol and her husband was like, yeah, I do Metamucil. I don't need that stuff. It's just overpriced Metamucil. Not going to do it. You can do what you want, but and so he kept taking his Metamucil. Well, one day he ran out, forgot to have it. So his wife slipped a couple of packets of this in his lunchbox. That day he came back and said, I would have never guessed how much different this was than that other fiber, but I will never go back. And he has never gone back. He uses this now every day. So now, not only is he regular, but now finally his blood sugars have been changing for the better as well. So make sure you're getting in the right fibers, okay? Answer you. The Savage Brothers, I didn't see, look, you're saying answer you, but there's no question for me to answer, honey. Sorry, somebody got offended for me calling you honey. It's a term I use, you guys. It's a term I use throughout my day when I say goodbye to a cashier. It's not a negative thing, but I will try to. So Savage Brothers, I don't see a question from you, so I can't answer that. All right. Yeah, so this is 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers. That's important because what's going to happen with these fibers is they're going to thicken up in your gut. So they're going to allow you to feel full before you eat. For me, I had such an acidic gut because I was already starting to have some of that paralysis and negative gut microbiome and whatnot going on. And I had acid reflux and I had all these things. but it would help soothe my gut in the beginning. And because it's food, I could have more than one a day. So sometimes when I was just having upset stomach, I would do this instead of Tums, and it still coated my gut, soothed it. The good thing with this is instead of adding Tums that's tearing your body down, this was adding to my gut microbiome. Now, 2 years later, my IBS is almost completely gone, and things are much more normal for me. Cecilia, I know, I can't believe it must be that I don't know how old you are. Sure, I don't want to offend that either, but I say honey a lot, and then every once in a while somebody gets really offended by it, but whatever. I guess I can't make everybody happy. All right, so soluble and insoluble is important. There's 3 fibers that, if you Google it, are really aimed at keeping your blood sugars down or do a good job with it. They're all 3 in here. 20 years of study to come up with this specific blend, but it's not just fibers. There's phytonutrients to help with cholesterol. There's vitamins and minerals that help with the metabolism as well. So prebiotics that are feeding your own probiotics, helping slow down sugars in your system. If this is not necessarily a pooping fiber, although it's going to make your gut work, so you're going to notice some problems. 69. Now I'm 59, so it probably is just the age thing, and the person who was offended is probably a bit younger and doesn't like it when old people call them honey. Old people call them honey. All right, that cracked me up. Okay, so all right, guys, I think I will be back tomorrow morning. I'm really excited to be back tomorrow. I'm planning for it to be an amazing day. Those of you guys who've had questions or just want to know more, please reach out and let me know. I do want to tell you, you're not going to go through this alone. I will be there. I've had people who want to text me every day and ask me questions. I've had people who text me every week. I've had people who I never hear from unless they're like, I'm just not quite sure. So, I'm here for you. All right. Let's go, and I will see you in the morning. Thanks for putting up with my quirkiness and calling y'all honey. Have a good day.